Good day, my good people. Happy Sunday. It's Sunday morning, or rather, it's Sunday afternoon, and I hope some of us did go to church. Yeah, it's Sunday. Let's talk about church. You know, some people don't understand why they go to church. Yeah, some people think going to church is doing God a service. Let me go to church because God, if I don't go to church, God is going to be angry, or God has a register sort of to take record of people who attended church this week or people who didn't attend. Or perhaps you go to church because if you don't go to church, the pastor is going to call you and say, why didn't you come to church? Perhaps, people go to church for different reasons. People go to church because they want to fulfill all righteousness. I was at church today. I don't want to go to church because they're addicted to going to church. They are not Christians. They're just churchgoers. You know, let me tell us something. Church, going to church is for your own good. You're not going to church to make God happy. God is not concerned about you going to church or not going to church. So going to church is for your own good. Um, Going to church is for you to, you know, refuel yourself. Just like you fuel a car, after using the fuel, you refuel. That's how going to church should be. To refuel yourself spiritually, to be edified. Church is beautiful. It's an avenue or a gathering where people take solace. Get spiritual uplifting and get counseling and all sort of that. Church is good until guy men enter inside. Guy men just entered and monetized church, and there's coming people here and there. Making money from people. People are gullible. There are gullible people will always be there till the end of the world. Gullible people will be there. Even no matter what you say to people to wake up, to wise up, they wouldn't wise up because their brain has been messed up. It has been manipulated. So it will take a long time for their brain to reset. They said you have to unlearn to relearn. So it will take time for them to unlearn so that they can relearn. All right, let's go to the business of the day. A lot of people go to church, they don't know they belong to a court. They don't know they are court members. So when you hear court members, they think it's a group of guys somewhere doing some, bizarre things in the bush, flying at night or killing people. Of course, we have courts operating, young guys, courts operating at school or on street, and so many different kind of courts here and there. So, but when you hear of cultism, people don't understand the cultism is also practiced in religious places, in religious gathering. So let's quickly look at 7 signs to know you belong to a religious cult. 7 signs for you to know you belong to a religious cult. Perhaps you've been involved in this religious cult for years since you were born, or for decades and decades, and you're not aware of it. So after this teaching, you'll be aware. So you advise yourself better and you know what to do. All right, number 1. 7 reasons to know you belong to a religious cult. Number 1, the leader of such religious cult oftentimes is revered. Is revered, highly worshipped. They give the leader hero worship. The leader is being idolized. The leader sometimes take the place of God. So people see the leader as semi-God, is choosing, it's untouchable. You see people saying the God of Bishop this, the God of Apostle this person, the God of pastor this person, that's one of the signs you know you're involved or you're part of a religious cult. So now, like I said, they revered the so-called leader or man of God or apostle or a prophet, and they give him a hero worship like he's a semi-god, and they also idolize him. You know, that's one of the number one signs for you to decode that you're involved. Number two, they often segregate their worshippers or members. They segregate members. They say, you are a peculiar people. You're a chosen people. You don't belong to the world. Though you're in the world, you don't belong to them. And they try to carve them aside and to separate them from the normal people or normal human beings. And they'll tell them, other people are they're worldly people. They are not choosing for the kingdom. They won't make the kingdom. It's you who are choosing. They are your chosen people. You are set aside, for the kingdom. So these other people are worldly. They are people of the world. So you people are the most choiced people to make heaven. So they brainwash their mind, and that is why uh, even when you want to marry out of that sect, it's prohibited. It's an abomination for you to leave that circle or that religious sect to go to another religion sect or religious sect and marry. You're all Christians, right? It's same Christendom. You're all Christians, but you cannot leave this faith and marry, go to this other faith and marry, or go to this other religious sect and marry, because they've set that standard. They've segregated their members. That's one of number two reasons for you to know that you belong to a religious cult. Number three, there's doctrines. The set of doctrines. We have primary doctrines and secondary doctrines. The primary doctrines are the doctrines Jesus set when he was here on earth. The doctrines he taught the people to follow. That's the primary doctrines. Now the secondary doctrines are the doctrines these people, these so-called founders or men of God, you call them, the doctrines they set for themselves, for the people to follow. That's secondary doctrines. So they mostly place the secondary doctrines above the primary doctrines of Jesus Christ. Jesus said that when they asked him, which is the highest commandment, when they asked him, he said, love your God, your love with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. This is the number one doctrine. This is the number one commandment. And that is the commandment that is paramount. That is the commandment that is uttermost. That is the commandment that's more preferred. Because if you love your neighbor, you won't kill them. If you love your neighbor, you won't steal from them. If you love your neighbor, you won't envy them. If you love your neighbor, so love is the center for all of this. So when you love, you'll be able to control the other ones. So these other secondary doctrines are irrelevant, inconsequential. They're irrelevant. They're doctrines of men. Some people say don't go to the hospital, don't take medication. You must put on a duke before you pray. You must not cover your hair. Whatever, some other thing. You must put on your shoes. You mustn't put on shoes. It's so amazing and so it's laughable. When I see people practicing feet washing. That's what Jesus demonstrated when he was here. It doesn't mean people should practically ask somebody to take off their shoes and begin to wash their feet. What essence does it make when you wash people's feet, but you have bitterness in your heart, you have grudge, you have hatred in your heart, but you're washing someone's feet? The essence why people washed feet in the days of Jesus In Jerusalem, in the street of Jerusalem, it was dusty streets. So oftentimes, when strangers come in, because they walk through the road, dusty road. So when they come into the house, there's always a maid or a servant who is by the door, having water in a bowl and having a towel. So when a stranger comes in, because their feet is always dusty, they walk on the streets of Jerusalem. So when the stranger comes in, the first thing they wait by the door, the servant will wash their feet and use the towel to clean their feet. That is the practice because of the dusty road. So when Jesus came and he just say you have to be humble, you have to lower yourself, you have, even if you're the leader, you have to be a servant leader. So he gave them an example. He washed the feet of the apostles. It's a demonstration. But you come this time around, people start washing people's feet. You tell somebody to take off their shoes, take off their socks. When they take off their shoes and take off their socks, their feet is clean, bro. So what are you washing? The person took their bath before they come to church. They put on their socks and their shoes, and they come to church. You tell them to take off their shoes and socks, and you wash. What are you washing, my bro? What are you washing? So you see, these are the things you must understand about secondary doctrines. They're inconsequential. They're not relevant. People tell you shouldn't go to the hospital, you shouldn't take medication, you should just pray. That's crazy. Even the scripture says the sick are in need of the physician. It's in the scripture. Those who are sick are in need of the physicians. So why did you bring your own doctrine and beliefs? So the people have been messed up so badly. So they place the secondary doctrines above the primary doctrines of Jesus Christ. So do not take seriously those secondary doctrines, because they are doctrines of men. They're taking you nowhere. Whether you go to the hospital, whether you don't go to the hospital, that is crazy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. Whether you marry from this place or marry from that place, it's irrelevant. You get that? So the next one, it's the next point. That's point number 4. Follow they follow others. They make you to follow others. The members or the followers, they sheepishly follow others. You don't ask questions. You do as you're told. The members in the church, they follow others. You don't ask questions. You don't ask, why is this like this? No, we were born to say this. This is how it has been from the days of our fathers. So you can ask questions. Why is this happening? There's a religious sect in Christendom. They say don't go to the hospital. If you're sick, you must pray and all of that. So I went into research, and that religion was brought to Africa, particularly Nigeria and other West African countries from the United States over 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago, and people are still practicing and dying in ignorance. And I say, don't go to the hospital. If you're sick, if you're dying, just be praying, call the elders to pray. Perhaps you get well. So, not too long ago, I went into research to find out the reason, who was the founder or the founders, what were the reasons for that belief system. I discovered that the belief system is this. They said they believe that sickness is a consequence of sin. That you're sick is because you sinned. So you need, and that sin is a spiritual thing, and you need a spiritual approach to be able to resolve that sickness. So if you commit a sin, you become sick. So you need prayers to make it right. You need prayers to become well. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that a teaching from the pit of hell? That's by the way. So they make people, like I said, follow others. The followers who follow others, they don't ask questions, they follow sheepishly. They say eat grass, you eat grass. They say drink fuel, you drink fuel. They say roll on the floor from here to to other corner, you roll. They say take off your dress, you take off your dress, you behave like an animal because you've been conditioned to behave like that. So you follow others, you don't ask questions. Why is this thing done? Why are things done the way they are done? Now, number 5, the followers in some of the religious sects, they bow before idols. Bow before idols is idol worshiping, and God is a jealous God. You know that. So you don't bow before any image, whether wooden image, plastic image, stone, or any form of image. You don't bow. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in truth and in spirit. God is everywhere. God is where you are now, listen at me. God is there. You're in the toilet, you're in the kitchen, in the bedroom, wherever you are, in the pit, God is there. God is everywhere. He's a spirit. So you don't need to make an image of God and say you bow before an image, whatever image. Just think in your mind, what image have you been bowing down before? What image have you been bowing down to? What image is that? Have a change. So a religious cult, people bow down before images, unaware to them that is idolatry, idol worship. Now, number 6, we're still talking about the 7 signs to know that you belong to a religious cult. Number 6, they condition your mind to be heavily bound and earthly useless. They condition your mind to be heavily bound and earthly useless. They tell you this world is not yours. No, we're going to heaven tomorrow. If you die, even if you die poor, heaven, you have everything in heaven. So you cease to live. You're still alive, but you cease to live. You cease to hunger for anything. You cease to strive for anything. You cease to achieve. You become unhappy on earth. You're eager to go to heaven. What heaven? What heaven are we talking about? But these same persons who have told you that this earth is evil, this earth is not ours, we are going to heaven, they're living a lavish life in this earth, using the small money you're contributing to live a comfortable life. They live a comfortable life. They're kids. And they talk you into contributing, whatever seed you're sowing, whatever money you're giving, and they'll be building empires for their kids. They say, come, let's build church for God. Let's build a house for God. Let's build a school for God. After that church is built, may them see your leg there, they go break your head. After the church is built, they put a boundary between you and them. Now the church or whatever thing they've built becomes theirs and that of their children. It becomes a family business after it's built. But before it's built, they say, come, let's build. No, they will talk you into bringing money, selling whatever you have to bring, saying you're building for God. After all that is built, you will now understand that is their private business. Bro, they're running business. So, quickly, number 7. We're talking about the signs to know that you belong to a religious cult. Number 7, no transparency and no accountability. The leader or the head is untouchable. Nobody will ask questions. What happened to the money? Or how is the money going? No accountability and no transparency. The whole money comes, one person manages, one person knows how much they have, and everything is for him. Everything is for him. He controls the board of elders. He controls the board, if there is at all. Every money, he decides what happened to the money. He buys what he wants to buy. The money is for him. He sees the money as his private money, but this is the money that's contributed. That should be for all. That should be for all, not for one person. So wise up, my people. No, like I said, the Bible says, bring your tithe and offering into my storehouse, that that there may be meat in the house of God. Now, this meat you're talking about is to take care of the poor, the widow, the vulnerable. But that is not done. The money you contribute goes to one person. So let's do things right. Thank you, my people, for listening and taking your time. This is All of You True Talk. Follow me at my YouTube channel. Like, post, and subscribe at my YouTube channel, All of You True Talk. Until I come your way, remember blessed. Happy Sunday. One love. Cheers.